The room of the CEDEPS, the District Center of Popular Education of Senegal in Guédiawaye, proved to be too narrow to accommodate them. The enthusiasm of the people of this district in the outskirts of Dakar to talk about development issues was above all expectations. They carry out agricultural projects, are breeders, farmers, or just passers-by. All came to discuss agriculture, livestock breeding, and youth employment. The purpose of this session is to encourage young people, potential candidates for illegal immigration, to invest in agriculture. Papis, a poultry farmer, is among those who are under the spotlight tonight. His success and that of others in front of the stage in agricultural subsectors should inspire young people.
En termes de marché, nous représentons aujourd'hui 24 000 poulets de chair que nous avons.
In terms of market, we currently represent 24,000 broilers per annum, which we put into the national market, and at least 3 million eggs. But aside from agricultural production, we do some vegetable production, and we grow lettuce, pepper, some potatoes, onions, beetroots, sweet potatoes, bitter turnips, etc.
De l'aubergine amère et douce aussi, et un peu de piment.
Agriculture is our leading source of wealth. Several experiences have shown that agriculture can really be the key element for the development of our countries. As strong arms, as the hope of our country, young people have to develop our country for two reasons. The mechanisms are here, the resources are here, the programs also are here. Now they only have to be up to the task. This meeting is the first in a series of actions undertaken by the West African civil society to take stock of 10 years of agricultural policy of ECOWAS, ECOWAP. The leaders of the regional organization were in fact meeting at the same time in Dakar to assess the regional policy and give it a new breath. The series of actions taken by the West African civil society also aims to highlight the challenges faced by farmers and breeders, their contribution to the economic development, food security, and consequently the issues of a common agricultural policy in West Africa. ECOWAP, according to civil society, faces a coordination problem. The region faces huge challenges in terms of food security and to reach the Millennium Development Objective at a time when people try to reach zero hunger across the world, but also in the region, in Senegal, by 2030. For a region in which the undernourishment rates are extremely high, the challenges are high. This deserves the attention at the coordination of all the stakeholders so that the already scant external resources available be managed in the most efficient possible manner.
La solution est toute simple.
The issue is very simple. We said we only needed a federating framework for the sake of efficiency, effectiveness and synergy. This federating framework is ECOWAS, made of 15 states. We have institutions existing in the region. We did not say that they were poor organizations. We just said that we needed more dialogue and only one regional policy. We cannot have two policies in our region.
10 years after the launch of the food and agriculture policy of ECOWAS, coordination issues still remain. West African civil society estimated that several regional centers continue to be competitive, both on the political guidelines and on a project implementation, and this with the blessing of some development partners. These, according to a report by the NGO Oxfam, sometimes impose their own frameworks for action, thus weakening regional bodies.
Le point de vue, pour conclure donc, de l'Oxfam.
Oxfam's position is extremely relevant, and it is this type of positions that ECOWAS and its member states need to look into to adjust so that in the 10 upcoming years,
Où est-ce qu'il faut ajuster de telle sorte que pour les 10 ans à venir,
What we will define in a consensus-based and inclusive manner will address development issues on which they get committed.
It is true that it is mostly when it comes to implementing national projects and programs that we see a small rush of actors. But this small rush of actors does not justify policy fragmentation, and all the people intervening justify their actions on the ground through the regional policy. And the multiplicity of actors in implementing the national policy is an added value. This diversity is in fact richness, but we do recognize that there are huge challenges in terms of coordination that prevent us from having all the players work hand in hand, working on the same activities, the same orientations, and the same development issues.
Both the civil society and the West African politicians and citizens are aware of the issues. The thirst for change is noticeable in the region, reflected in the slogans of the campaign, "Let's grow." "We want more, we want more," is something we can hear from Dakar to Lagos through Cotonou, Lomé, Accra, Abidjan, Conakry or Bamako. This is a call to action for agriculture, the most effective path to development. According to the World Bank, agriculture is actually 2 to 4 times more effective than other sectors for poverty reduction. And besides, agriculture contributes 30 to 40% to the GDP of the countries of West Africa.
Au niveau des politiques macro,
in terms of macro policies, we're not that aware of the challenges, which to me are huge because beyond the contribution of the agricultural production to the creation of global wealth, so improving growth, the issue at stake is the daily food and survival of the populations. To me, that aspect has not been addressed with all the necessary open-mindedness by the authorities, the ministries and the administration, generally speaking.
The actors are unanimous. The results of ECOWAP are mixed. This failure calls for a paradigm shift in agriculture in West Africa. Civil society in the region wishes to have a stronger political commitment shared by all players in favor of a single common agricultural policy. For this purpose, the mandates and means of intervention of the regional institutions should be streamlined to coordinate their actions in favor of this common policy.
Les progrès sont mitigés. Ça, je vais pas vous le cacher. Et si vous avez entendu...
The improvements are mitigated, let's face it. If you heard the heartfelt appeal made by the Commissioner, here's a policy that has been adopted and everybody recognizes that we pay the required attention to some sectors, then we will make huge steps forward in transforming our agriculture. Unfortunately, and he justly mentioned it,
ce programme n'a pas bénéficié de toute l'attention, notamment.
This program was not given all the attention, namely in terms of financial assistance. This is why we showcase the WAP as an example, and the countries committed themselves and managed to mobilize $500 million, and the results speak volumes. The other ECOWAP programs should be carried out just the same way.
De ECOWAP, c'est comme ça que ça devrait être fait.
West Africa remains one of the regions which are most affected by food insecurity. The 15 member countries of ECOWAS have certainly reduced the prevalence of undernourishment from 24% in 1991 to 11% in 2012. But according to FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, there are still nearly 35 million people suffering from hunger in the region. The role of agriculture is thus essential in achieving food security in West Africa. About 80% of food needs of the region are in fact met by agricultural production. Aware of this, the regional authorities have launched the Zero Hunger Initiative to eradicate hunger by 2030, in accordance with the wishes of the international community.
Il y a des engagements qui ont été pris par les gouvernements, mais qui maintenant doivent encore être mis en œuvre.
The governments committed themselves, but all this has to be implemented and applied on the ground. This is unfortunately an issue we currently notice on the ground. Then this high-level leadership should allow for better coordination of actors, and like I was saying, hunger is a result of several causes. That's why the health, agriculture, water and social protection actors should at once work together to see how to come up with a coordinated response. This is being operational, but we have to strengthen it. There are also several best practices at the technical level. Some of them have to be scaled up. For now, those best practices have not been scaled up because the funds are missing. Funding the regional agricultural policy is still very dependent on external aid. ECOWAS was committed in 2009 to funding the 5-year plan to the tune of $150 million. But that commitment has not been kept, although the last few years coincide with a period of greatest economic growth ever recorded in the region, almost 5% on average. The Maputo Declaration calling on African governments to allocate 10% of their budget to agriculture is not a success either, so far. There are still financial constraints and serious obstacles to overcome.
La CEDEAO et les États membres peuvent convenir avec, par exemple,
ECOWAS member states can agree with donors that, for example, 25% of budget be allocated to the agricultural sector. This has to do with the donors and member states. But the private sector is the one that finances most food and agriculture. ECOWAS member states should create favorable conditions to attract investment, and these conditions include incentives, tax exemptions or reductions, business facilitations, etc., whether at the administrative, fiscal or financial level. Create the conditions so the private sector, starting with the producers themselves, well, all the involved in the chain value be interested in investing.
The next few years will be decisive for West Africa. The population of the region is expected to effectively double by 2030, reaching 600 million. This, coupled with the development of a middle class, will result in strong growth in demand for food productions. And if nothing is done to meet this growing demand, countries in the region are likely to remain importers of agricultural products.